on it. I was gonna swing on it right now. The whole time, I was waiting for him to swing on Johnny. I was waiting, bro. I was so...
I know for a fact I'm not going to go to jail. Not one day in jail. I'm going to laugh my ass off when all these motherfuckers are saying I'm going for 30 years, 20 years, 5 years, 10 years. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not even going to do one day, bro. They're going to give me a fine. They're going to say, don't come back to Korea.
A few moments later.
American live streamer Johnny Somali, who had caused an uproar in South Korea with his outrageous acts, such as kissing the Statue of Peace, was sentenced to 6 months in prison.
So if you live in America or any Western country, you've probably noticed a dramatic increase in antisocial behavior in recent years. And I'm not just talking about the big stuff like violent crime or robbery. It's also the little things like hopping subway turnstiles, screaming really loud on speakerphone in a crowded airport or subway, Senegalese migrants selling counterfeit goods right in the middle of the sidewalk, YouTubers thinking that it's good content or funny to go and disrupt public order and call it a prank or something, right? All of this just general behavior that adds up and really reaches you with the conclusion, people don't know how to act. What happened to my country? Why don't people have basic norms or respect anymore? And to an extent, it really is sort of demoralizing, right? I'd argue all of this stuff, when it adds up, has a real effect in terms of how you view your country and the current health and state that it's in. And that stuff is absolutely real. But that is exactly why today, to address this, because we all know what we're talking about, I want to discuss the current story of a guy by the name of Johnny Somali. And yes, that is actually what he calls himself. This is a live streamer and YouTuber who does indeed claim to be of Somalian descent, although some people have said he's actually Ethiopian. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to point out, quite ironically and perhaps fittingly, his name is actually Johnny Somali. But anyways, this is a guy who has built a brand off of going to other countries as a tourist and basically trying to intentionally incite and provoke problems, whether that's trying to start fights with locals, trying to disrespect cultural norms in front of everyone of the country and see what they do, see if he gets arrested, and just, again, generally being one of these people who goes and causes a bunch of antisocial behavior. But keep in mind, he doesn't just relegate that to America where he was a citizen of or whatever. He's actually going to other parts of the world and trying to show how degraded American culture effectively is by doing this type of nonsense. And as of today, it is apparently the case he went to try to do all this in South Korea and made a grave mistake, is now facing 6 months in a hard labor camp. No, we're not making that up. After he tried to twerk and basically do a lap dance on a World War II memorial, once again for content, right? A lot of this stuff gets incited by social media because it gets views, people watch it for whatever reason because it's strange or just so out there or whatever. And ladies and gentlemen, maybe the best story I've ever seen. Now the guy is being sent to a labor camp, and all the while, he really thought, because as you know how it works in America, these people never face consequences. That's how you end up with the worst situations, by the way, where, people start actually committing murders and things like that. Because as we know, in this country, we do not really enforce standards against antisocial behavior. Certainly the police won't do anything. Certainly prosecutors won't step in and actually bring charges. But Johnny Somali didn't understand. He's no longer in America. He's in South Korea. And as an Asian myself, I'll just say Asians tend to view these things a little bit differently, okay? They don't tend to tolerate disrespect towards their cultures to a certain degree nearly as much. And so here we have it. I want to bring you this story here today because it's just ridiculous and a prime example of, first of all, this very type of trashy behavior that's taken over our society, but also a great way in which America could learn from it, right? We don't have to live like this. We don't have to tolerate the ghetto, the trashy, the antisocial behavior all over the place. We can indeed enforce some degree of cultural norms, basic morality, basic respect in our countries. And it looks like this right here. You can indeed be a free society while also enforcing, hey, don't disrupt public order, right? It's not that complicated. Let's tell you all about it, guys. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. That's the best way to support our work. And it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And that said, here is the headline. So, American quote-unquote streamer Johnny Somali was just sentenced to a labor prison in South Korea after he disrespected a monument honoring women who were sexually abused and trafficked during wartime. If you know anything about the history of Korea during World War II and what the Japanese did with a lot of the pleasure squads there, you'll know this is a very sensitive thing, obviously, to the Korean people. And what does this idiot Johnny Somali do? He goes up there and posts a video of him trying to do a lap dance on this statue of peace. The YouTuber, whose real name is Ramzi Khalid Ismail, is known for going to other countries and causing issues, which really is just such stupid behavior when you think about it. Because I don't know if these people lack common sense, but you know, when you're not a citizen in a lot of other countries, you might not even necessarily have the same legal rights. And while I guess it's true that generally the American embassy will kind of bail you out, and, you know, that's the case, that's not, you're going to use that as a guarantee, right? Or are you going to put yourself at the mercy of foreign justice systems? How about if you're going to other countries? I guess nobody these days has any idea of this, including people who come to America. Maybe at least try your best, even if you're there as a tourist, to respect the local culture, respect the local norms. You don't have to be there. No one's forcing you to go there. So learn something. I don't know. But anyways, here's what I point out about it before we'll tell you the full details of this specific case. Because to give you an idea, this guy has a long track record of doing it. So, you know, Khalid, who has around 5,000 followers on YouTube, apologized back in November of 2024, saying he didn't understand the significance of the statue. But many users have expressed skepticism of his sincerity. While investigations were ongoing in South Korea, Khalid simultaneously, right, while he was filming that video, also challenged local people to fight him, right? Literally going around the country trying to start fights. Several videos on social media show him being punched and chased along the streets. Apparently, some patriotic South Koreans also were kind of getting fed up with this guy's behavior, and so they actually did want to go and fight him. But then he, of course, cried the victim after doing that, because there's actually a lot of South Koreans believe this guy is literally like a disgrace he's disgracing the country, right? So it's very sensitive, especially a lot of the stuff he's doing. But anyways, it goes on, right? You can just tell. This guy is like epitomizes the antisocial behavior that we sometimes criticize on this channel. Earlier, he had caused the scene on public transportation, vandalized a convenience store, and streamed obscene videos in public, all to do what? Content to quote-unquote rage bait, right? As they say in my generation. Oh, that's so funny, right? This guy has a long track record, by the way. Earlier in 2024, Khalid was detained at a protest in Tel Aviv, Israel, for making inappropriate remarks toward a female police officer, but was later released. So that was a slap on the wrist. While in Japan in 2023, he taunted locals with, among other things, his comments on the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the final days of World War II. What the hell is your problem? You know, seriously, like, again, you don't have to go to these countries, but he's going there with the intent to cause problems and disrespect people. Frankly, it's insane that he hasn't been thrown in jail already, but he was later fined 200,000 yen, which is $1,400, after disrupting business in a restaurant by playing loud music. Oh, very typical. I feel like I've seen that type of stuff before. But of course, he's causing all these problems, but the moment he went to go desecrate a very sensitive war memorial in Korea, it turns out, his status was not going to stay the same. But even all the while, so he's been stuck apparently in South Korea because he got indicted for it. Thus far, thankfully, the Trump administration has made no diplomatic moves to bail the guy out because he 100% deserves this here. This is not some type of unjust detention of an American citizen. No, he 100% had it coming. But of course, quite arrogantly, while claiming to be remorseful, while claiming to be sorry, has spent several months talking crap. And he really thought nothing would happen to him, right? They're just going to let him go. They're going to fine him. They're going to ban him. But hey, America's going to extradite him or whatever. And he's not going to do a day of jail time. Well, funny how this didn't age well. Take a listen.
I know for a fact I'm not going to go to jail. Not one day in jail. I'm going to laugh my ass off when all these motherfuckers are saying I'm going for 30 years, 20 years, 5 years, 10 years. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not even going to do one day, bro. They're going to give me a fine. They're going to say, don't come back to Korea. You're the one who's going to look so dumb when I don't get any jail time or anything. Bro, I'm going to laugh like a fucking villain. Look, I did go there and recognize all the charges. I said I was guilty. I did say all this shit because it's gonna be a fine. Nigga, what the fuck? I'm just gonna pay it and leave, bro. Like you can't go to jail for this shit.
And by the way, buddy, nice try putting on a MAGA hat. We absolutely do not claim this individual. And we know, by the way, exactly what he's trying to do, right? Why is he suddenly now wearing a Trump hat? Because now that he's in legal trouble in another country, he's been trying to make this appeal to the Trump administration, pretend to be one of his supporters. So that way, hopefully, the U.S. Embassy comes here and bails him out. Apparently, he even tried to wear a MAGA hat into the courtroom for that very publicity. And the judge luckily denied it. So, you know, this guy just a professional provocateur on many levels, 100% does not represent our movement. And I think that goes without saying, okay? This is the type of person that MAGA wants either incarcerated or thrown out the country for antisocial behavior, right? He actually stands for everything we're against, quite literally. But, you know, it went on while, of course, again, claiming in court to be deeply apologetic for what he did. He was seen, this guy's so stupid. He was seen in other points on stream having a complete meltdown, telling the president of South Korea to suck his D. He then further, once he figures out that Trump is not helping him, thank you, President Trump, thank you, Marco Rubio, absolute patriots, says F the U.S. Embassy because the U.S. Embassy refuses to help him, and then says he hopes North Korea drops a bomb on South Korea. But I'm sure 100%, right? The guy's completely apologetic and sorry for his actions. No, not at all.
I don't fuck. Hey, send this clip to the president of Korea, nigga. Send this clip. I'm talking to you, the president of Korea. You can suck my dick. I respect Kim Jong-un more than you, Lee Jae-myung, little bitch ass nigga. Facts, nigga. Let me drop a bomb on this thing. I'm not in a threatening way. Not in a threatening way. Not in a threatening way. But you know what I mean? No, I'm just saying. I'm dead ass, nigga. Send the clip. Send, nigga. Send. I'll go to the police station tomorrow, nigga. The police already investigated me for being a North Korean spy, nigga. I swear to God, y'all niggas deserve this shit. I don't give a fuck. Y'all deserve this guy shit. I don't care. Y'all niggas worshiping prostitute statues. Y'all niggas locking black men up. Y'all need to go. And I don't give a fuck. Send this clip to the U.S. Embassy. Fuck the U.S. Embassy too, nigga. The U.S. Embassy, they ain't doing shit. Nigga, send this shit.
So yeah, as if this guy can't get any dumber, he tries to put on the wannabe ghetto thug act. You know, he's so tough. Yeah, pull up on me. He's challenging the government of South Korea to pull up on him as if they're the rival gang on this block or something. Just completely ridiculous, right? But that is the behavior of a guy who, you know, let's be honest, he's not a real gangster. He's a poser. He's a wannabe. But who really thinks that ultimately nothing was going to happen to him, maybe still even to that day, right? Apparently, they wouldn't realize this in court. South Korean people wouldn't see this and be even more, annoyed and find this guy to be obnoxious and find him to be deserving it. Well, as of today, ladies and gentlemen, the big announcement, as you can see, Korean courts have found Johnny Somali guilty of all charges and will be sentenced to 6 months and 20 days in prison with labor. No suspended sentence. He will further be going to a specialized labor prison, which means not a prison for foreigners, right? South Korea has some separate prisons for foreigners. This guy is going to a prison with the Koreans. That is significant because this guy is universally known and well hated in South Korea because, as you can imagine, although his behavior is pretty normal for any American city, it's pretty shocking, as you could expect, to the actual poor citizens of South Korea. So let me just say, I don't know if they're going to treat him very well in there, and will further have to receive sex offender status for what he did. That is right. Take a listen.
Hey guys, we're right outside the Seoul courthouse, and Johnny Somali has just been sentenced to, what is it?
6 months and 20 days of prison with labor.
Yes, sir.
Also, he has sex offender status, so he can be nowhere near women, children, anything like that during the pendency of 5 years in Korea.
All right, so while this might seem like justice is served, What are the next steps?
The next steps is right now he was brought out of the courtroom. All his possessions were taken. He came with a full backpack, just like me. But all those possessions were taken. His phones were taken. He's handcuffed, detained here. He'll be taken to the prison at some point in the future, and he'll go to that prison. A temporary prison will decide where to send him, and then they're going to send him to a specialized labor prison. He will not be going to the foreigner-only prison, but a specialized one for prison labor.
So it's going to be a lot of Koreans with him, right?
Only Koreans. He will not be in there with foreigners. He's going to have to practice that Korean because that's all he's speaking in prison.
Yes, sir. All right. So then, is there a chance that he's going to appeal this decision?
Yeah, so both the prosecutor and the defendant can appeal in this case. There is a reason for both to appeal because the prosecutor can say, hey, that the punishment wasn't enough. However, Johnny can also say, hey, this was not an appropriate sentence. So both of them have 7 days to appeal. So we'll see within the 7 days who files an appeal, the prosecutor or Johnny. But either way, at least we can say Johnny Somali was wrong that he won't get 1 day in prison.
Yes, sir. He thought he could play games in Korea, and he found out.
So yeah, there you have it. I guess the government of Korea did indeed pull up on your block, huh? And I'd point out that still to an extent, he got a slap on the wrist for this because the prosecutors wanted 3 years of hard labor. The judge ended up writing it down to 6 months. But still, you got to give a lot of credit to the Koreans and their justice system because in America, this guy would have never even gotten arrested in the first place, right? So much trouble he caused, all this public disorder, starting fights. What would the woke prosecutor of Charlotte, North Carolina give him? Probation, if that. He should probably just drop, wouldn't even bring the case, wouldn't even bring the charges to begin with, right? And that's part of the reason why we have the issues we do in our societies. And oftentimes when American or Western tourists go to any of those Asian countries, they're like, wow, it's so clean. It's so nice. It feels so safe. Yeah, it's like, it's not an accident. I mean, sure, part of it is just in general, like, you know, the people who live there, but also it has to an extent to do, yes, as well, with the enforcement of standards. You know, it's just a high trust society. What can we say? That's what I frankly would like to live in. I don't care who calls me whitewashed or someone by saying that. Yeah, I want to live in a nice neighborhood where, you know, people just aren't acting like complete retards all the time, and you know, I can trust that my bike's not gonna get stolen. All, you know, it's like this is just true. Okay, deep down, everyone knows, and you know, it is what it is. But you know, call you me racist, whitewash, whatever we want. We want to live in nice countries. Okay, so America could learn a lot from this. Yeah. People who cause public disorder in a repeated fashion, and you can clearly just see, like, they're provocateurs, maybe they're even mentally ill. Yeah, they shouldn't just be allowed to keep running free in society. So what? So that you can create another Irina Zarutska, right? How would that have been prevented? 14 times he got arrested before, he should have been institutionalized or incarcerated. It really is that simple. But now they're trying to say, oh, he's not even competent enough to stand trial, but competent enough to walk free in the United States, apparently. It's just ridiculous. But anyways, Kongman Lee here further points out that apparently the whole Ghetto Thug Act has rapidly evaporated ever since Johnny Somali figured out the situation was serious. He's alleging that the second he walked in, his eyes were completely dead and lifeless. Oh, really? Really? I thought he was such a tough gangster though, right? Zero trolling, zero antics toward press and creators. So he's not rooting for Kim Jong-un anymore on camera, huh? He wouldn't even look at us. He knew he was screwed. And he was so desperate that apparently he tried to lie about still being an ASU student. So he tried to claim to the Korean court, oh, I'm a college student. I need to get my education. I'm so sorry. He's actually graduated already, right? So that's not even true. He tried to invent that excuse. The Korean legal system did not buy it. By the way, Legal Mindset here is apparently pointing out the judge finally asked Johnny Somali for any reason why he shouldn't go to prison. And Johnny Somali said, and I quote, I have family back home. I need a chance to change my life as a young person and a second chance to do better. Well, I'd point out you had your second chance a million times. You had it in Japan when they fined you. You had it in Tel Aviv when they arrested you for a day. Like, a lot of countries already have sent you a strong signal. Your behavior is not right. But you know what? You didn't just have one lapse in judgment. It was not an accident. You're intentionally trying to F around. You're intentionally provoking people, and now you found out. Now you're like, give me a second chance. You had your second chance in all these other countries. Time for Korea to finish the job. Anyways. He also added, throughout the court proceedings, I've not done acts to offend anyone, which shows I learned a lesson. we showed you what he was doing throughout the court proceedings. That's ridiculous. But this, of course, is a lie, as he was documented committing several crimes during the course of the trial. So there you have it. And apparently the judge, okay, the Korean judge here simply listened and said, "Are you finished?" Then proceeded to the detention order. So that's all he got. He didn't get a BLM, George Floyd. You're not in America anymore, buddy. All you get is a, "Are you finished?" Okay, a 6 a month in a hard labor camp. That's what you get. That's what you get. What a wonderful ending to this story. Although, honestly, the sentence has to be greatly intensified. But I'm just going to say again, right? The reason I'm doing this video is because, as I stated in the beginning, this general problem of the rise of ghetto and antisocial behavior now just happening literally everywhere in America absolutely needs to be addressed, but that'll never happen. Why? Because we have woke prosecutors in basically every county in this country, right? And that's how you end up with a society, not just that's visibly decaying all around you, okay? But no matter how much they try to claim, oh, that's just culture, you're being a Karen, it's no fun. No, it's not any of those things, okay? It's not just like HOA people nowadays that are sick of the way you guys are acting in society, okay? Because it doesn't just translate to an unpleasant social experience, it also means crime, right? Crimes are coming with these things. Ask Irina Zarutska. What happens to a society that tolerates antisocial behavior for a long time? The behavior just becomes more antisocial to the point where it's literally anti-life, okay? Let's put it that way. So, shout out to the Koreans. What else can we say? Can you keep him, please, by the way? Okay. How about life in a hard labor? He's going to come back here. Do you think he's going to learn his lesson? I don't know. I think he'll be permanently scared of Asians, but I don't know if he's going to come to America. America will probably think, oh, well, I have a George Soros prosecutor here, and what's going to happen to me? Nothing. It's just ridiculous, right? You call it authoritarian, whatever you want. No, it's not, right? In order to literally have a free society, you have to have a high trust element. In order to have a high trust society, you have to have strict enforcement against antisocial behavior. It really is that simple, You want to stop greater crimes from happening, bigger crimes? You stop the little things. You stop people committing the little things. It's just that simple, right? But anyways, that said, guys, so let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.